oh my gosh, everyone in that stadium thought that penalties were, everyone had their mind in the penalty shootout already, and yet in the final minutes, you got to play till the whistle blows, Grell, and it's Austin FC going to the final.
It was the team that was more brave also in the extra time, right? Austin, they were tough defensively, but then also they went for the game at the end. Minnesota just did a lot of nothing. You know, for me, it was if Minnesota pushed the game, I thought they had enough quality to win it. They didn't push it. Austin did in the end, and then they get the goal, so good on them. We're all going to Austin, so that's going to be exciting. And Nashville, Austin sets up really nice now. And now you're looking at a Nico Estevez side, 7th in the West, going to the U.S. Open Cup final, and that's the beauty of football. Hosting the U.S. Open Cup final. Jimmy knows how important that is because he hosted every single game when he won it. But I will say, now all of a sudden, that this is football. Now the season can start changing around for us. And they lose Vasquez when we covered them, 3 weeks ago? So it's like doom and gloom. And now all of a sudden they turn the corner and things don't look so bad.
I'll say the mentality from Minnesota, Eric Ramsey, the coach, if you're not inspiring your team to go forward and you're settling with sitting back and inviting pressure and playing for pens, and I'm going to add, in penalties, they don't have a great record. Go back to Leagues Cup, Club America, 8 penalty shots, and Dane St. Clair didn't save 1. Brad Stuver, for Austin, they still going for the game, and you knew they relied on Brad Stuver. He could come up big in the penalty shootout. So I think the advantage was still with Austin. Such a disappointment from Minnesota because they did have the quality to win this game if they went for it.
Stuver and Austin were just in a penalty shootout, and Stuver made 2 saves in the quarterfinals. But it almost did look like, Jimmy,
there was one chance, in fairness to Eric Ramsey and Minnesota United, where Longwane did have that breakaway, where it was really close to whether it was offside or not, and he broke through, and Stuver made a big save. You talked about Stuver before the game, Chuck, about how important he was going to have to be. And I believe also that if you are going to win anything of consequence, you have to have a hot goalkeeper who's making those key saves, those timely saves, and Brad Stuver stepped up once again. So credit to him on that one moment. That's the only moment they had in that 30 minutes, Minnesota United, but they had one. They just didn't take it. But what I'm a little disappointed about from a Minnesota United perspective is that there's maybe a minute, there's a minute left in the game, and to allow someone to get a free cross and then not really marking in the box to see it out, that's really disappointing, and I think they have to address that if they want to have now a deep run in the MLS Cup playoffs.
And like Chris Whittingham said on the call, there wasn't going to be stoppage time. It was going to go straight to pen, so there really were only so few minutes remaining left in the game. Well, let's go back out to Allianz Field and hear from the winning head coach, Nico Estevez, who's standing by with Claudia Pagan.
Nico, everybody was getting ready to get into PKs because we were just seconds away from going there, but you guys were able to get it done in the final minutes. How are you feeling right now?
Well, I think it's amazing. You know, this is why we love this sport. This is why we work so hard, and we struggle more to have these moments, but just to have this moment with the team, the fans, and probably our families from the TV, our friends, enjoying this moment. And this is why sports is so important for everyone, and we are very happy to provide them to a magical night.
Now, Minnesota were the favorites coming into this game, but from the very first second, you guys were able to go toe-to-toe with them. How were you guys able to take down what's been one of the hardest teams in the league this year?
Well, I think we had the experience in the league when we played them and we tied here 1-1. I think we set up a good tactical setup where we minimize their strength, but also we use that as maximize our strength, no? And I think today work again. I think also we can improve in certain things, but the important thing against them is always like not being defending all the time, if not in the moments that you have opportunities to go forward, put them in a difficult situations. And I think, again, we did a good job today, and we had, that part of luck in the sports. But sometimes when you believe and you keep going, because at the end of the game we were pushing them and we were creating some dangerous crosses, you get the reward, and really, really happy and proud of the players.
Now, coming into this game, you spoke about how much you guys would need to adjust because of the way that Minnesota plays. Were there maybe any moments in this game where you felt a little bit uncomfortable from your side of things?
Yeah, I think at the beginning of the second half, we felt uncomfortable because we were defending too much. We weren't able to keep the ball and have long possessions as we had in the first half to just not let them create that momentum. think in those moments we struggled. I think we made some stuff that they gave us energy and also ball control, and we were able to grow throughout the game.
Now, you said that if you guys get the chance to host the final, how impactful it would be. Felicidades, you guys are hosting the final. How are you feeling about that? You've got the biggest smile on your face right now.
Yeah, I think these moments are to the fans for enjoy. For the players, I think we made a history making this final, first time in the history of the club. It's a young club, but it works really hard to provide these moments to the people in Austin, and we know it's going to be an amazing event. We'll have a tough opponent, Nashville, but we'll work really hard and prepare really well to try to bring the trophy to Austin.
Congrats, Coach. Go celebrate with your team. Muchísimas gracias.
All smiles from Nico Estevez, who will lead his Austin FC team to what he hopes will be a U.S. Open Cup title when they host Nashville SC, taking place on October 1st, with coverage beginning at 7 p.m. Eastern down in Austin, Texas. Charlie Davies already got his cowboy boots on. He's super excited. But what did you boys make of those comments from Estevez after you said you really liked Charlie, just his demeanor?
I love his personality. This is a good guy. I also love B.J. Callahan's personality. Good guy. The fact is they're both colleagues on the U.S. staff together, and they know each other extremely well. So if you're looking at these two teams, of course, Austin are going to have the incredible environment behind them, the atmosphere. It's going to give them an extra level, but they're still going to only attack with 2 or 3 players at a time. You can see that. They don't get exposed too often because they're going to sit back, and they know defending is what got them there, and they're going to have to be able to balance when to attack, when to sit, versus Nashville, who maybe attack with 4 or 5, and you know they have the difference makers. Nashville are still going to be the favorites going into this, but you got to look at Austin with Brad Stuver, with the way that they're coming into it with momentum. They also have a hand on the trophy. I love this matchup, and I love both these coaches.
I think what I was most impressed by with Austin tonight was, one, their adaptability. They changed their formation, and they found success with it, and they really impressed me with how they performed on both sides of the ball. There's a discipline there that I didn't see in their previous games leading into that. And then secondly, I think I saw them learn how to suffer in some ways throughout this game, that they what they say, bent but didn't break, right? So there was a real nice maturity, I thought, about the performance and how they were coached and how they absorbed that information and went out and executed. If they play similarly in the final, and they just have to box in Serge, who obviously is going to be a handful.
You can't give up chances like that to Serge.
For sure. And we talked about how there's some gaps between the lines. Mukhtar will make you pay if you give him that much time and space. So they'll address that, but I was really impressed with Austin tonight, and I thought they were deserved winners.
In Minnesota, they brought it. You know, they were waving those towels. Kobe's over there barking. And they just couldn't get it done. But, I mean, the fans were incredible. The environment looked phenomenal.
It really was amazing. And we talked a lot about how in these matches, it's about those difference makers stepping up. And so you've got a team in Nashville SC who it's very obvious who their difference makers are. They've got Sam Surge, who leads the MLS Golden Boot race. He had a hat trick yesterday. And then you've got an Austin FC team that has seen some players step up. So who are some of the guys tonight that you saw make a difference and you think could really make a difference in the final, Grell?
Bukhari is the one for me. I think the final is going to look a lot like Nashville, with a lot of possession, a lot of balls, fullbacks high, Nahar high, Mawil high, Lovitz we saw with the quality. So it's going to be a lot of Nashville. Austin's going to be defending, but this is the danger that Austin can pose. Bukhari on the counterattack with the speed and the pace in behind. And they were not very good in the first half. This was really their only moment, but this is the moment that hurt Minnesota in the end. And then he gets another big chance in the second half. So Bukhari on the counter is the danger man. I think also Chuck wanted to also say that it could be Wolf also on the other side with some quality, but it's the speed that kills you, especially when you're going to get exposed a little bit with a high line. And
I love his composure too. Just to add that in while we're watching this highlight, it's fantastic. And if it wasn't for Dane St. Clair and his reflexes, we're talking about Bukhari being the man of the match.
Yeah.
But I was going to say, I loved Owen Wolf's movement in this game. He was very smooth on the ball. We talk about composure and patience. When he was dribbling, he could buy time for the rest of his team, and he usually made the right decision. So that's one of the difference makers for me in terms of players on the pitch who can create. But Brad Stuver is the most important player on this Austin side.
Yeah, and Stuver will certainly be so important for them in the final.
He's going to get peppered. You know, Serge is going to get his chances.
No
Mukhtar is
doubt.
going to get his chances. So, yeah, you're going to have a hot goalkeeper to win.
So you said earlier that Nashville would be the favorite going into the final. Austin's playing at home. Is that how, Jimmy, you and Grell, you see it, Nashville being the favorite?
I think so. I think the gap in quality is obvious. I think there was times when Minnesota decided to play and go forward that they cut through Austin quite easily, especially in the first half. They found gaps. It was a little bit disjointed. It was only really till later that Austin grew into the game. So I think the gap in quality is too much. When you talk about Surridge, what he did, we saw the Surridge show last night, and then Mukhtar, and then all the guys that get forward and they overload. And this game was played at a very slow pace. It was very respectful and cagey, and Nashville won't do that. Nashville will commit numbers forward. They'll put them in a fast game. And I think Nashville are the favorites going into this one.
Yeah,
I know they are.
No, I agree as well. Surge and Mukhtar, I think, are two big difference makers that Austin doesn't have. Maybe at times, Bukhari, Owen Wolf, yeah, they're important, and they're going to have to make plays in this game. But, man, those two guys are so good at the game. And I think there's a way where Austin, if they could just suffocate the service to those two players, but what we saw tonight, I don't know if they have that in their toolkit, as it were.
Oh, but Jimmy, that home field advantage.
I think it does make a difference, and I think they'll come out in that first 15 or 20 minutes. We're probably going to see an Austin team that's not going to sit back. They should go for it.
In this game, to start, Austin was playing a high line.
They were pushing higher.
They weren't necessarily pressing high, which is exactly what Grella was talking about. As Minnesota got on the ball, Austin was high, but they weren't closing down the space. So now all of a sudden, Minnesota could turn and they could play and pick out who they wanted to play to and move off the ball. And by the next time someone came, it was a reaction too late, and they could find the next guy. And so it was pretty easy to play through this Austin side. But I think they're going to use that to their advantage, but again, balance. And I think it's going to be heavily favored towards sitting back and defending.
Okay, so we know that without a doubt, BJ Callahan and this Nashville SC side were intently watching this game. What do you think their key takeaways were from the match and from Austin FC?
Well, which version of Austin you're going to see? Are they going to play a back four, which hasn't looked good in recent weeks in the league, or are they going to go into this back five that they showed off today? I assume they're going to try the back five. It seemed like it had some fluidity to it.
They have to, because the way Nashville plays with their wide players, they rely heavily on Andy Nahar and Daniel Lovitz to create the width. They get up and down. So when they get, if you don't play with a back five, then your four gets split. And that's even more space for Mukhtar.
Great point.
And so I think they will play the back five and
then we'll see what happens. Then it's up to the front three of Austin to make a difference.
Okay, are you boys feeling bold enough to make predictions? Who wins it?
It's too soon. Let's just bask in the glow. Okay, what are you going to say?
Be brave. Okay, well, you know, Jimmy,
I'm going to give Austin a chance because it is at home, and I've been in this situation before, and the home team always has a little bit of an advantage, an emotional advantage.
So far, Aly, there's only one guy at this desk who's picked the two right teams to be in the final.
Yes.
So let's give some time to let Austin enjoy this win, and then we'll come back to it.